Okay. Ano yung pinakamahirap niyo na subject ngayon?
Research siguro, sir.
Statistics
Okay.
po sa akin.
Math tsaka research, 'no? Oo. Ano yung as in, papagawin kayo ng research ngayon? Hanggang
Parang
sa
research lang,
pinaka-last
sir.
part?
Kaso like, hindi namin alam kung ano yung gagawin namin.
And then si Simon sa stat din, ayun. Oo nga, ang hirap. I think mahirap yung subjects na yun na dalawa, lalo na kapag online kasi ang walang masyadong feedbacking. I mean, it's a bit hard, 'di ba? Tapos hindi ka puwedeng
Yes, sir.
makapag-consult ng mas maigi. Mm. Oh, if I can help, like ano lang, kapag may questions tapos uh, I don't know, just pass me the questions if hindi masyadong gets. And then, for example, nagtanong na kayo sa teacher niyo, hindi niyo pa rin magets. Try to pass it to me. I'm not gonna like guarantee that I'm gonna help, pero at least I might be able to. Just try lang, ha? If there's maliban lang sa statistics kasi hindi ko talaga alam 'yan. I think I could help sa research, but sa statistics, I wouldn't have any idea about that. I'm sorry, Simon. Yung sa
Thank you,
research, lalo
Okay
na sa
lang
sir.
mga
po.
literature. Sige, Shai. Yung sa mga literature, review of related literature, gano'n, I think I could help with that area. Tapos, like, yun, I think makakatulong ako. Pero for the statistics na part, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no knowledge about that. Mm-mm. So, just ask for help kapag, medyo, medyo stuck kayo.
Sige, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Sige. Hi, Tin! Hi, Pat!
Hello, Chair. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, sige, hintayin muna natin yung classmates nyo for a bit. Grabe. Ay, yung sa gas and EBM, parang kayo, no? Mas maraming mga subjects nyo kaysa sa STEM na classes. Mm.
10
Ang hirap
subjects
ng
yata
nyo,
amin,
ng
sir.
life nyo. 10 subjects ngayon? My gosh,
Yat,
how
yata.
brutal.
Yung lahat subjects.
Grabe. Grabe, I cannot imagine it. Yung nga, sa mga university
Dar.
students, nagsa-struggle sila sa 5. Grabe yung training ninyo, parang ginyera kayo kaagad. Tapos pag college nyo, na lang, parang civil war. Ngayon world war, tapos sa college civil war na. I mean, pero syempre mas mataas yung expectation sa college. It's just that ngayon, uh, yung workload nyo is really, really, a bit hectic. Yan. Sige. So, hi Kian, Ashley, very good. Jean. Okay, sige. We have new people here. Welcome to the Philippine Politics and Governance class. Yan. I hope you have been reading through the handouts posted um, on the CLE. For this lesson, I yeah. Wait lang. Kung sino may problema ba dito or merong hindi naintindihan sa mga requirements or sa mga activities na pinagawa sa week 1 tsaka sa week 2? Okay. Kapag merong problema, I think it's better if you just chat with me na lang kapag nahihiya. Okay, so I'll start with the class now. Last week we discussed politics and power, so we provided an introduction along with your classmates. And for this week, we're gonna discuss ideologies. Sino yung nakapagbasa a bit sa libro nila?
Wala gid ako, sir.
Okay, sige, honest. Ayun. So, for those who haven't able to or who weren't able to read, we're gonna provide an introduction today. And for those who are able to read, please assist me as well in providing mga commentary as well as your opinions about the specific ideologies that we are going to discuss. I'm just gonna provide a brief overview of your mga activities for this week. So for this activity, again, you have a 5-item pretest that you are gonna take so that you could gauge your previous understanding or your prior understanding about ideologies. These are just true or false items. Tapos, yung sa discuss na portion, so this one, if you want to watch an introductory video, this is from another teacher where I think he provides a good introduction to the lesson on ideologies. You can click this. And you have a handouts. It's a 3-page handout para matulungan kayo sa exam. So just click the icon. Ayan, just click it. And then you will be brought to the file. Ayan, so ganon, click lang. And then, meron ding, or pinost ko na din yung slides natin for today. So, for your reviewing, para sa exams natin, which will be done on Friday, again, yung exams natin will be on Friday, and the exams will open from 9 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. Just review on these specific handouts. And at the same time, the most important document that you have is actually your book. So, you can also review there. These are just supplemental handouts. Yan, pero aside from your book, eto din yung handouts na 3 pages na yon because it provides a summary of the lessons or the topics we discussed for both week 1 tsaka week 2. Ayan. And for the deepen section, you will be asked to take the political compass test. Medyo stressful to siguro discuss your results on Wednesday. Ayan. So make sure you take this. And then if you can, provide also or take a screenshot or grab a screenshot of your results so that you could also share it with us on Wednesday. Yan. Yung political compass test, this is a test that is usually done by a lot of mga people interested in political ideologies. And then you will be distributed or ilalagay kayo sa 4 na mga areas. And then, ibibigay kung sino yung pinaka-similar sa inyo ng mga political leaders. So, parang sa quadrant, di ba? Yung ating quadrant, pwede ka ilagay sa left, sa right, sa ilalim, sa taas. Ayan. So, all of those have different meanings. So, just take the political compass test. And then, for the demonstrate section, you can also have, or you will do your position paper, which I have already explained in the past. It's the same requirement as activity 1.4. For this one, try to make sure that if kapag nakagawa na kayo ng position paper, you try to improve it given the standards or expectations that were set in the video. So, merong video dyan that details kung ano yung sources, kung ano yung criteria on how to evaluate the position paper so that you will be guided better. For those who have a little bit more or need a little bit more assistance, just message me so that I could be able to help. And so, may questions ba regarding sa activities natin?
Wala na rin, Chair.
Wala na din. Okay, sige. So for, kasi wala na ding questions, let's just move on to our lesson on ideologies. Okay, for this class, I will ask for your participation and please do not be conscious if you're making or if you think that you're seeing the wrong things. Don't worry about that. There's no such thing as being wrong all the time. Right? So eventually you will get things right. Just try to give your most truthful answer during this specific class. Yan. So our topic for this week is ideologies. And this will also be our topics on Wednesday as well, when we try to deepen that specific topic. Our sources would be these 3 political scientists, Julio Tehanqui, Roberto Galang, and then Benjamin Tolosa. We're also sourcing from other Filipino political scientists and even normal people for this specific topic. Makikita natin mamaya kasi yung ideolohiya, galing yan sa iba't ibang mga tao with different perspectives. We have to make sure that we try to give the most basic and then the most truthful account, right, of their ideologies. Kung ano yung pinakamaganda na account ng ideologies nila. Maliban sa fascism, kasi walang maganda sa fascism. Okay, anyways, Okay, so sige, so let's start with an exercise. Let's try to identify which quote belongs to which ideology, and then let's try to explain your reasoning. So we have three categories here. You have liberalism, fascism, and then communism. And then we have three quotes. Yan. First one is Carlos P. Romulo. Second one is Joma Sison. And then the third one is Benito Mussolini. Out of these three, two are Filipinos. Okay, sige. So I'm just gonna read Carlos P. Romulo's, and then from that quote, try to figure out kung saang ideology mas nabibilong yung mga ideas na galing sa quote na ito. Okay, so from Carlos P. Romulo, we are anti-communist because we know communism endangers our liberties. That our position happens to be that of the United States or of more countries of the West is only because the ideas of freedom, as enshrined in the Magna Carta of England, the Declaration of Independence of the US, and the Declaration of the Rights of Man by France, are universal. Okay, who can volunteer kung saan to ilalagay na ideolohiya and kung bakit yun, yung reasoning nyo, or kung bakit dun yun nilagay, yung ideology na ito, or yung quote na ito. Sige, I want to...
Sa ano yan,
sige.
Chair?
Yeah, sige.
Liberalism.
Feel ko, Chair, sa
Very good.
liberalism.
Okay. So, si Krista said liberalism, and then sinabi ni, was that, sino yung nagsabi na feel niya sa liberalism din?
Me, Cherry.
Okay, Shai also says liberalism. Okay, let's go first kay Krista. Krista, why do you say it's liberalism? You're both correct. Very good, guys. Okay, bakit liberalism? Ano yung ideolohiya or alam natin sa liberalism?
Sa napanood ko sa video, Chair, sa YouTube, then ang liberalism is all about democracy, tas free market, and all about the justice bala, Chair. So, nakabutang ba dyan, Sir? The answer is Declaration of Independence of the US and the Declaration of the Rights of in by France are universal. So, para sa answer is liberalism is more on about rights ng mga people. Kaya sige, butang na kung sa liberalism mo na section.
Okay, wonderful. Sige. How about Shai? Do you want to add to that?
Same ano din, Chair, opinion kay Krista. Kasi nakalagay dito anti-communist. And yung liberal kasi, diba, is like democracy. So, yun yung naisip ko.
Okay. Thank you, Shai. Good. Yan. So both of you have correct ideas, or your ideas are pointing to the right place. And this is actually, or Carlos P. Romulo himself as a liberal. So if you have any talks about rights and the universality of rights, usually this is a legacy of liberalism. Tapos syempre yung mga keywords like liberties, di ba? Yung ideas of freedom. So liberalism focuses, di ba, on the freedoms of people, specifically the rights belonging to these people. Right? And so, pero mamaya, makikita natin na hindi lang yung liberals, yung nagto-talk about rights. Even socialists and communists would talk about rights, pero they have certain understandings of rights that are different. Yung liberal, yung rights nila nakafocus specifically sa individual rights and liberties. The right of the individual to decide for himself. While yung right na pinofocus ng mga communists at mga socialists, more on the level of the rights of the group, right? Solidarity rights. And sometimes, the rights of the group and the rights of the individual, actually, hindi sila pwedeng or meron talagang priority yung isa dapat. Kasi sometimes they would come into conflict with each other. Diba? So later, we will talk about that. But very good. Ayan. So with regards to this, liberals would usually have an anti-communist slant because they think communism is very totalitarian, diba? It puts or it overwhelms or it restricts the individual liberties, diba? Kasi inuuna yung community or yung buo kaysa sa individual at ayaw yun ng mga liberal. Okay, very good, guys. Ayan. Okay, how about the next quote? Sige, I'm gonna read the firmest, or I'll ask somebody to read na lang pala. How about Kian? Can you clearly see the quote na nakalagay sa screen? Okay, Kian, can you clearly see the quote na nakalagay sa screen about yung sa may ilalim ng yellow na part? Okay, sige. I'll have another person na lang read kasi baka hindi naririnig ni Kian. Let's have Pat. Pat, can you read this? The firmest national unity.
Chair, nag-chat pala sa akin si Patricia na hindi niya daw marinig yung audio mo.
Okay. Okay, sige, sige. Oo. Anyways, this is recorded naman, so I'm just gonna upload this on YouTube. Okay, so let's have Noriel. How about Noriel? Can you read the quote, yung sa may yellow na side?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, sige. Okay, Nor? Are you reading na? O baka hindi marinig din yung audio ni Noriel. Okay, sige. Um, Kapag hindi naririnig, hindi lumalabas. Sige, ako na lang magbabasa muna. Ah, ganun talaga kapag may technical issue. Sige, so I'm just gonna read and then you can give me your answers. The firmest national unity founded mainly on the basis of the class interests of the workers and peasants must be created. The main content of the People's Democratic Revolution is the struggle of the peasants for land. The People's Democratic Revolution must satisfy the basic demands of the poor peasants and farm workers for land. Land shall be distributed free to the landless. What type of ideology is this? Is this liberalism, fascism, or communism? Who has an idea?
Communism po.
Okay, wonderful, very good. Ayan, so communism is the correct answer. Why do you say so, Simon?
Kasi based po dun sa parang nakuha ko po sa quotation po, kasi parang sakto rin po siya sa definition po ng purpose ng communism. Yung takbo po kasi or goal po ng communism is ano po, to end capitalism po, parang ganun po.
Mm-mm. Okay, to end capitalism, right? Or actually to evolve to a form which is more advanced, supposedly, than capitalism, diba? Thank you so much, Simon. So may idea na siya ng idea ng komunismo, diba? And the idea that nag-evolve, diba, yung mga economic systems. Very good. Okay, so for this one, it's hindi actually to i-discuss sa libro niyo yung communism. It's not one of the ideologies that would be discussed because it's not covered by your book. But Simon is correct when he says, when we're talking about revolution, specifically an armed form of revolution, the more extreme type of revolution wherein there is a total revolution, lalo na sa mga working class, or for example, dito sa farming class, to take control of the government and to make sure that the government, kapag kontrolado na ng working class, magdi-distribute economic distribution ng mga resources sa mga kailangan na i-distribute. So for example, land to the landless, capital or yung earnings from the factories as well as from the industries to the workers and so on. So that is a main goal of the communist movement. And historically, ito yung nangyayari. Pero it has, later we'll talk about that. Pero very good. And this person in the picture is actually Joma Sison. He's the founder of, or he's considered to be the founder of the Communist Party of the Philippines. Okay, very good. How about the last one? Everything against the state or everything in the state, nothing against the state, nothing outside the state by Benito Mussolini from 1950. What is this type of ideology? Who can
Fascism
volunteer?
po.
Okay, good. Fascism. Why do you say so, Simon?
Kasi po yung quotation screams dictator energy po.
May dictator energy, very good. Ayun, so usually when we're talking about fascism, it accompanies, right, a certain leader, uh, a certain dictator controlling the state, right? And specifically, it assumes that people have loyal or utmost loyalty to the state itself. So, example of fascist ideologies is fascism sa Italy. Yun yung talaga yung origin ng fascism. Pero Nazism is also an example of a specific type of fascism. Diba? So, these ideologies believe that lahat, all the struggles of the people should be sacrificed so that the state would become strong. Ayan, everything to the glory of the state. And usually, yung nangyayari dyan is, syempre, inaapakan yung individual liberties, yung mga minority rights, lahat-lahat. Kasi nga, gusto nila united lahat. Right? Pero it's not possible for something to be like that. Usually, walang criticism, and so on. Okay, very good, guys. So, I think you have a grasp, right? Or a preliminary grasp of these three ideologies. And because I think you have a preliminary grasp of the three ideologies and you understand the contents, I think okay naman yung mag-proceed tayo. So, kapag may hindi masyadong naintindihan, we can also ask questions. Right, so tama kayo, Carlos P. Romulo is a liberal and you actually have a ton of Filipino liberals. Joma Sison is a communist and Nita Lini as a fascist. Ayan. I did not put any Filipino leaders as a fascist kasi baka pagalitan tayo. Pero ayun, there are some Filipino leaders that also exhibit some tendencies of fascism. Pero sige, punta tayo sa less controversial na lang na historical examples. Okay, so with regards to this ideologies, this ideas, diba, usually they would have certain things or contents within kapag sinasabi nating ideology. Okay, so as said in your book, an ideology provides a description. It must be able to offer an analysis or an account of issues and problems that the state and society are confronted with. What's wrong? What went wrong? Okay, bakit mali iyon? So lahat ng ideologies, binibigyan kayo ng lens, di ba? Glasses, para ma-pinpoint, okay, bakit ang raming krimen sa Pilipinas? Bakit ang raming mahirap? Yun. And then after that, they will try to give a vision, mas advance a model of a desired future, right? What can we do? Or what would this ideology give to you? Okay, if you promise to believe this, right? If you have ideas with regards to how it could be better in the future, eto yan. Diba? Yung vision. May sinisel tayo na vision kung paano mas maging mabuti yung isang bansa or isang komunidad. And syempre, from the description part, 'di ba? Yung ngayon papunta sa future, yung sa hinaharap sa vision, there needs to be a process. There needs to be a prescription so that we could attain the trajectory from the vision or the description part papunta sa vision part. So hindi ibig sabihin na lahat ng ideologies na ito can answer this as well as the others, right? Some ideologies are able to provide a more coherent and cohesive description, vision as well as prescription, but generally, hindi kailangan na maging accurate yung description, vision, tsaka prescription ng mga ideologies. So yung ideologies, again, these are just glasses. Your glasses could be tinted dark, 'di ba? Tinted rose, tinted kung ano man. Pero 'yun, that is the way how you will see the world. Ideologies color that. That is the way that you would like to imagine the world to be. And then eventually that is the way that you will try to proceed from the level of description to the level of making your imagination real. 'Di ba? So, ganon, 'di ba? But yung mga tao kasi people are very smart. Usually hindi tayo one track na tao, 'di ba? A lot of us have a combination of ideologies. There's no such person kung saan komunista lang sila or sosyalista lang sila or liberal lang sila. 'Di ba? Lahat tayo ay mix, 'di ba, ng mga specific na ideologies or ideas coming from these ideologies. Pero importante malaman yung mga ideologies kasi again, we're trying to use them as models. And di ba models, hindi sila talagang magfi-fit sa reality, pero they could help us describe realities, even if it's not accurate to the point na talagang tama lahat. Right? Pero they could provide us direction and a way to explain what is happening in the world. Right? Eto, again, this is from Julio Tehanqui's definition of ideology. Again, it's the same type as your book, just expressed differently. So it provides a description, a comprehensive set of beliefs and attitudes about social and economic institutions and processes. Later makikita natin, meron tayong chart, and then makikita natin yung mga paniniwala ng bawat ideology with regards to state, with regards to freedom, and all of these other aspects that animate economic and social life of Filipinos and then syempre people all over the world. It also offers a critique of an existing system and the view of the ideal system. Diba? Merong critique, the description part, and then the vision part. What should be the ideal? And then you also have the prescription. So provides an account of how to change or how change would come about. And so all of these parts are specific aspects, right, of what we mean when we say ideologies. Ito yung mga sangkap. Again, a comprehensive set of beliefs and ideas. It offers a critique as well as an of the current system, as well as an ideal vision of society, and then it offers a way or a direction in which the existing system could become the ideal system. So, ibig sabihin, they think, lahat ng ideologies think of the current system as imperfect. Diba? Something to make, something to improve, something to make better. Right? And all of them have certain visions about this. So, ayan. Eto, just as an overview or a summary, this is, okay, yung book natin, nagbibigay tayo ng directions. May left, may center, tsaka may right. And this is known as the political spectrum. So, sige, later, titingnan natin to. Pero this is the chart that I was telling you about with regards to left, center, and right. Naglalag yung laptop. Ay, ano na? Okay. Ayan. This one is very useful for you guys. So, unstable yung net ni Sofia. Anyways, this is recording naman. So, I'm just gonna post this on YouTube. Ayan. Eto, with regards to regards to the content, left is the green part, liberalism, center is the yellow part, conservatism and fascism is the right part, 'di ba? Naka-color code siya. So generally, yung left na part, these are the ideologies that are more future-oriented in the sense that they want to give a vision of an ideal future to change the present, right? And then yung liberalism, eto sila yung mga gustong mag-negotiate. These are the ones that are a bit unsure, right? They want to focus on the present and to make sure the process of change does not really come very quickly. Kasi nga, they're very careful, right, with how changes comes about. Kasi makikita natin historically, sometimes if you create tons of change, may mga tao na naiiwan or kapag may malaking makinarya na naglalagay ng isang malaking change, for example, the communist of Russia or yung kay Hitler, kadalasan may mga tao na pinapatay, there's mass atrocities happening. So they're very careful with regards to that from historical experience. They try to protect individual rights. And then you also have the conservatives that they are wanting to change society pero focus on the past. So meron silang ideas na there are certain things in the past that should be brought back, right? For conservatives, preserved para sa mga conservatives, or for fascists, usually they have a certain ideal of society. Kahit wrong yung ideal na to, meron silang iniisip na a vision of a previous past kung saan maganda lahat. So for example, si Trump, he's considered a bit of a fascist. And this tagline, diba, is make America great again. Or for example, si Benito Mussolini, who is an actual fascist, the symbol that they used in Italy is the symbol of the Roman Empire. So the fasces, it's a bundle of sticks tied together with an axe. Ito yung isa sa mga simbolo ng Roman Empire in the past. So makikita natin, ginagamit nila yung mga simbolo na ito or yung mga visions of the past to try to say na okay, kailangan nating i-restore yung mga bagay na ito. Ayan. So conservatism and fascism past focus. While conservatism wants to preserve some things, right? Liberalism, they negotiate between the past and the present. Communists and socialists, usually they try to drive progress. Kaya tinatawag sa kanila progressives, 'di ba? Sila yung medyo mas atat. Ayan. So these are certain categories. Obviously hindi to perfecto. These are just some patterns that emerge with regards to what they demand. Pero yun yung kadalasang key, 'di ba? With regards to how they want to enact or demand change. Okay, so we will talk about this later on. Pero meron silang iba't ibang views sa individuals. Again, iba-iba yung attitudes nila tsaka paniniwala. They also have different beliefs about the relationship of the individual to society, about equality, about the role of the state, about their position in the political spectrum, as well as how change could occur. Right? So, if you think, or later we'll talk about this more, sa last part, pero eto yung pinakabuod ng lahat. There's also something in your book on page 27 to 28 which is a bit more comprehensive. Pero with regards to your understanding of ideologies, just please be guided by this chart because I think this is very good na. Obviously, it's not a perfect chart, but it's a good guide, right, of the different ideologies and what they believe in. Ito yung content nila. Yan. So, again, guys, ideologies are historical processes. So marami yan silang mga sangkap. Hindi iisa yung communism, hindi yan sila buo. Socialism is not just one type. Liberalism, conservatism, fascism is not just one type. Because again, these are historical. So marami yung sangkap and hindi natin pwedeng ma-encompass lahat ng klase ng komunismo, sosyalismo, liberalismo sa ganitong klaseng chart. Pero again, guide lang eto sila. Okay, so ayan, just please be guided. With regards to the ideological forces and political parties in the Philippines, actually sa Pilipinas is pwede nating ma-classify yung mga political parties into different ideologies. So, galing to kay Julio Tehanqui's slide and some of them are actually I don't agree with. Pero I think this is an okay guide na din. Ayan, so eto yung mga pangalan nila. Are you familiar with any of the political parties in the Philippines or what a political party is? Sige, sino dito alam kung ano yung political party? Okay, first question muna. Ano yung political party ni President Duterte ngayon? What is the political party of President Duterte? Starts with letter P. Okay, ayun.
PDP laban po.
Okay, good. So PDP laban. Actually, wala siya dito. Kasi hindi pa popular yung PDP laban when this slides were created. Kasi I just got this from Julio Tehanqui's slide. So PDP laban, it's the biggest, it's in the majority right now with regards to the number of mga politicians that are in that party. And usually ganun yung case. Kung saan yung political party na nanalong presidente, doon dumadami yung mga politicians pumupunta. So for example, kay Noynoy before, Noynoy was a liberal, the biggest or the political party with the biggest number of politicians was the Liberal Party. Okay, so ano yung purpose ng mga political parties na ito? Actually, yung political parties natin, hindi sila masyadong popular sa Pilipinas kung ano yung kanilang ginagawa. Pero yung totoong purpose nila is they have to create yung purpose ng ideology. They have to offer a description of the problem of the Philippine society right now. And then they have to offer a vision of what they could do to address those problems. And then the process of how addressing these problems would come about.
So lahat yan sila may pinagsusulong, yung tinatawag na plataforma, 'di ba? Ah, and then depende kung anong klase na ideology meron sila, yun din yung magiging guide nila. So, hindi masyadong clear actually yung mga ideologies ng mga political parties, and meron dito ako nako-confuse talaga kasi hindi yung sinasabi nila na ganito daw yung ideology nila, parang hindi tama sa ginagawa nila. Pero with regards to that, we could use the examples of other countries kasi mas clear. So for example, sa US, they have two major political parties. You have the Republicans and then the Democrats, 'di ba? So those are ideologies. The Republicans would have a certain set of diagnosis about the problems of the US society, and at the same time meron din silang vision of what US society should be, and then a prescription of how to get from that uh, problem papunta sa vision na iyon. And same with the Democrats. Lahat yan sila may mga stand. Sa Pilipinas, hindi masyadong ganon. May mga political parties kung saan na-articulate nila ng mabuti, pero hindi lahat. So, for example, with regards to the far left, eto yung mga political parties that are a bit revolutionary, allied with the communist and the socialist movement, lalo na yung komunista. So, for example, you have Anak Bayan, Bayan Muna, Bagong Alyansa Makabayan, and kapag nakalagay dyan sa graph na electoral, ibig sabihin, partyless sila. Uh, Meron silang posisyon sa loob ng gobyerno, 'di ba? May mga politicians sila sa loob. Yung mass struggle, ibig sabihin, these are people that are organizing like movements, social movements, and then groups outside of the government specifically. And then yung armed struggle, eto talaga yung may mga armas, 'di ba? The ones that are in the bukid. So examples of the left or the far left is the National Democratic Front, which is an alliance of the different communist parties or communist forces in the Philippines, including the Communist Party, the MNLF, ayun, and so on. Yan. So sa far left yan sila. These are communists. And then sa left, eto yung Partido Lakas ng Masa, you have Akbayan, which Risa Hontiveros is part of, Laban para sa Kapayapaan, Katarungan at sa Kaunlaran. Sa center, syempre, yung Liberal Party, kasi nga liberal, center. You also have Person ng Masang Pilipino, eto yung party list ni Erap Estrada, kaya hindi ko gets kung bakit andyan sa center. You also have Laban ng Demokratikong Pilipino, eto yung party list ni na Sonny Angara. You have the Nationalista Party, which is a bit conservative. Ito yung party list ng mga Manny Villar, Lakas Kang PCMD. Ayun, hindi ko alam yung last part na ito, yung may flag ng Pilipinas. Ayun, you have the Magdalo Party, yung party ng mga soldiers, and so on. And so anyways, this is the categorization of Julio Tehanqui. Pero hindi yan I don't agree with some of them. So, for example, ito yung kaguluhan sa pag-diagnose or paglagay ng political party sa Pilipinas. Yung PDP laban, yung kay President Duterte na party, they describe themselves as a socialist democrat na klase ng political party. Kapag pumupunta kayo sa Wikipedia page nila and then sa kanilang page talaga, and then sa kanilang description, they describe themselves as socialist democrat. It's the same as Action Democratico, which is Vico Soto's political party, Socialist Democrat din yan sila. Pero obviously, kapag tinitingnan natin the way that the politicians move in Action Democratico and then PDP laban, parang hindi pareho yung ginagawa nila, di ba? So there's some confusion with regards to the alliances and what happens in theory as well as in practice, right? So you can see that, for example, you are a socialist democrat and not do the things, 'di ba, that are expected of the socialist democrat. So eto yung yung problema sa Pilipinas kasi hindi masyadong specific at hindi fina-follow kung ano yung ideological na beliefs na sinasabi niyo. Usually it's an alliance lang of politicians, kung saan yung convenient, doon sila pumupunta. 'Di ba? So it's a bit harder. In other countries, this is not the case. For UK, for example, kapag Labour Party ka, it's expected if you are a politician which belongs in that party, you have to prioritize workers. 'Di ba? You have to prioritize wages and the things that would make the workers quality of life improve. If you are part of the Green Party, obviously you are gonna prioritize the environment. Sa Pilipinas, distinctions are not as clear kasi hindi mo alam kung saan talaga or kung ano yung ina-expect mo sa political party. So it might be this in description, but in practice, it would be very different. So ayun, medyo mahirap sa Pilipinas. Okay, so may questions about that ba na part? Don't worry, it's not gonna be covered in your exams. The point here is that sa Pilipinas, hindi masyadong clear yung distinction sa ideology natin. So even if we scan the different political parties at tinitingnan ko ano yung content nila, you have to know them historically. You have to know what they're doing to actually categorize them. Kasi hindi sa pangalan lang nakabase. Hindi maging useful masyado yung names. Yun lang. Okay, so we move on to the 5 ideologies. This one is not actually part of the chart, but it's part of your book. And this is anarchism. Ayan, so for the anarchists, sa picture natin, these are Filipino anarchists. Makikita natin sa pictures, babasahin ko lang, korporasyon at gobyerno ang direktang may sala. System change, not climate change. Local autonomous network. Ayan. And then you have sa ilalim, Women's Day tribute to all women. Right? And then you have the A symbol, the anarchists. So for them, later on we'll explain kung bakit ganito sila. For them, yung assumption sila is humans are naturally good and helpful when they are given freedom. And then yung mga states, yung mga corporations, they think of these big institutions as restricting the freedom of people. Ayaw na ayaw nila kasi nga, for them, inaalipusta and then nire-restrict at saka kinocurtail yung freedom ng mga tao ng mga big corporations. So, the humans, instead of being allowed to be good, sometimes they would be made bad. Right? Their actions would be made bad because they are under oppressive governments and oppressive corporations or an oppressive economy. So that is the belief of the anarchists. For them, the presence of authority and hierarchies, like the state, make people compete and not cooperate with each other. Kasi nga yung ano nila, 'di ba, yung kanilang assumption is that kapag papabayaan mo lang yung mga tao, they're gonna have goodwill and they're gonna cooperate with each other. But if you impose certain oppressive rules over them, then they would compete, right? Lalo na, for example, yung corporations, they promote, 'di ba? Like competition with regards to the workplace or the government, they promote competition with regards to resources kasi nga nande-distribute ng resources. The state is evil and it gives harmful norms and human beings should have the freedom to create the society they like. So, obviously, hindi siya masyadong comprehensive na sistema yung anarchism. Usually, these are made by people that remain into small groups kasi nga, medyo hindi siya systemic. Right? So, they usually are confined into small groups. These are examples of Filipino anarchists. This is Bas Umali. And meron siyang writings. Actually, yung mga Filipino anarchists, may writings yan sila sa the Anarchist library. And then you could also have Bandilang Itim. Kasi yung symbol ng mga anarchists is like an A with a circle and then a black flag. Yan. Ito yung kanilang like idea of anarchy. And then sa excerpt na ito, sinasabi lang nila sa Tagalog na to na ginawa nila is yung anarchy, for example, ang pinakapayak na kahulugan ng anarchy na maibibigay ng diksyonaryo ay ang kalagayang walang otoridad, ruler, or boss. Ito rin ay tumutukoy sa kawalan eksternal ng puwersa ng nagigipit sa tao upang sa pilitang gumawa ng bagay na hindi ayon sa kanyang kagustuhan o pagkukusa. So, sabi niya, yung isang halimbawa daw ng anarchy, sa isang okasyong nagkaayaan kayo ng inyong mga tropa, barkada, kaopisina o ng pamilya sa isang salusalo at ang bawat isa ay nagboluntaryo sa magawaing pamilyar silang gawin at may resources at kagamitan sila upang magawa. Walang nagbigay ng utos, walang nagbenta at walang napilitan. Ang lahat ay nagsaya, nabusog at lalo pang kapalagayang loob ng mga kasama. So, ito ay anarchy. And so for them, kapag papabayaan mo yung mga tao, they would be able to organize themselves, they would be able to cooperate, they would be able to
take care of each other without the restrictions given by a higher authority or a leader. Right? And if you remember in our UCSP class, ito yung tinatawag na mas egalitarian na mga societies noong medyo maliit pa lang, di ba? We were traveling in bands. So usually, hindi talaga lumalaki yung mga anarchist movement. Kasi hindi siya masyadong practical, right? With regards to the bigger ones. But at the same time, they have a lot to teach, right? And they have a lot of help with regards to criticism of the state. Okay, so aside from the anarchists, you also have the socialists. Usually yung anarchists and then the socialists, these are on the left side. Left sila tinatawag. But eto, yung socialism, they support collectivism. And this is the belief in the capacity of human beings for collective action, their willingness and ability to pursue goals by working together as opposed to striving for personal self-interest. So makikita natin yung pinaprioritize ng socialism is the idea of the social or the social group. The group, di ba? Yung kapakanan ng grupo ay dapat inuuna. Right? And then, merong idea ng solidarity, yung pakikipagdamayan sa mga kasapi ng grupo na hindi nabibigyan ng mabuting treatment, di ba? Or hindi or nagkakaroon ng problema, di ba? And di ba, yung idea dyan is that dapat yung self-interest hindi pinaprioritize sa kapakanan ng iba, mga tao sa grupo. Right? So, socialists believe in an ideal vision of the future where individuals can achieve genuine freedom and fulfillments as members of a community. For socialists, the state is possibly evil in that it could become an instrument of the powerful, but it could also be an instrument that could lessen inequality and class tensions. And so, for the socialists, yung state, it's just an instrument that could be used for good or bad. But, para sa kanila, yung estado, yung gobyerno, ito ay isang way para gamitin, para i-redistribute yung mga resources, both economic and then social resources sa mga tao. Right? Iba-iba yung klase ng sosyalismo natin, pero yung paniniwala nila is dapat merong mas equitable, mas patas na pag-distribute ng resources, whether these resources be education, whether these resources be money or income, whether these resources be healthcare. What they think of the society right now is that society is very unequal, and inequality is one of the things that should be addressed immediately. Kasi nga, ibig sabihin yan, may mga tao na kasapi ng komunidad or ng grupo na mas nahihirapan kaysa sa iba, di ba? Again, sacrificing self-interest so that the interest of others could also be addressed or prioritized. So, for example, para sa sosyalismo, kapag bilyonaryo, hindi, kasi nga, di ba, for example, titingnan na sa liberals believe in the right to property, di ba? Tsaka yung protection ng right to property. And historically, yung bilyonaryo, di ba, they have the right to property and the right to the wealth. Assets nila yan, sa kanila yan. Pinoprotektahan ng batas yan. Para sa sosyalismo, hindi ito makatarungan, di ba? Kasi nga, even if the right should be protected, the reason why the socialists do not want this is because nakikita nila na yung iba, di ba? Kasi collective yung tinitingnan, nagsasuffer. So there must be redistribution of wealth that will occur. Kasi nga, dapat inuuna yung komunidad at saka yung mga collective, yung karamihan, kaysa sa iisa-isa. So, okay nila, for example, if some rights, like the right to property, becomes less relevant compared to the solidarity or rights to solidarity or the idea of right to have equality. Diba? So, with regards to the Philippine history, yung socialist natin, an example of this would be Isabelo de los Reyes. Siya yung una, hindi siya masyadong sikat, pero actually he's one of the contemporaries of Jose Rizal. He lived in the same era as Jose Rizal. Right? And yung nangyari is that he created the first labor party in the Philippines. Nag-organisa siya ng union para sa mga manggagawa, the Union Obrero Democratica, and they fought for workers' rights during the American or the Spanish colonial period papuntang American colonial period. And so he's one of the first socialists. And yun nangyari kung paano niya na-acquire yung socialist na ideas na ito kasi ginil siya doon sa may Cuba, uh, nilika siya sa Pilipinas kasi nga ano siya, parang pareho kay Rizal pero instead of sa dapitan, sa Europe siya pinadala. Doon sa Europe, ginil siya doon sa may Cuba and during that time, Cuba was also having a revolution. And the people which were heading this revolution were the socialists and the anarchists. And in that jail, kasi nga maraming kinulong na mga political na prisoners na socialists and anarchists, nagkaroon siya ng edukasyon. Pagbalik niya sa Pilipinas, dinala niya yung edukasyon na ito and then nag-organisa siya ng isang labor movement. Ayun. So it's very interesting, historically, kung paano nag-start yung mga ideas na ito. Okay, about Union Obrero Democratica, it must be noted that the labor unions, yung kanilang gusto lang naman is to give an 8-hour workday instead of like 10 hours or 12 hours, protection of women, and the stopping of child labor as well as social insurance for the workers. So, because of that, for example, ito yung naging resulta na ginawa nila nung May 1, di ba, is Labor Day, the Bureau of Labor para ma-standardize at para ma-monitor yung sistema at saka yung kondisyon ng mga labor sa Pilipinas was also created. And then on May 1912, the first law regarding the standardization of labor was also created. Yung mga movements na ito, guys, sila yung nagbigay ng mas magandang kondisyon para sa mga magagawa natin at magiging benepisyo niyo din sa huli. So pension, unemployment insurance, sick leave, contracts, mga yung 8-hour workdays and so on, all of these were fought for by the labor movements. And hindi natin sinasabi na lahat ng labor movements is socialista, pero doon nag-start, 'di ba, yung idea, yung manggagawa nag-start being inspired by labor movement. Ayan. You also have the SOCDEMs. So, socialist democrats are a specific type of socialists kung saan they believe that the government or having positions in the government is a way to develop and to promote socialist ideas. So, examples of this are, usually, most of them are Christians. Then, pero kasi may connection between Christianity and the SOCDEMs sa Pilipinas kasi nga majority ng mga tao sa Pilipinas ay Christian. So they have that religious idea and the political idea. But in the other countries that are more secular, SOCDEMs are just hindi naman sila Kristiyano. They're a bit atheistic and so on. Iba-iba. And pero sa Pilipinas, a lot of them would use the ideas of Christianity to promote social democracy. So some of these people that belong to SOCDEM are Vico Soto and Risa Hontiveros. Yun yung kanilang identification, political identification. You also have the NatDems. So eto yung mga NatDems, they're socialists going to communists that believe that hindi pwede na maging or magbigay ng socialist ideas gamit yung gobyerno kasi masyadong mabagal, right? And hindi pwede na makagawa ng totoong progreso kapag sa gobyerno umiiral. So for them, an armed revolution, talagang, kailangan i-usurp, kailangan magkaroon ng revolution at baguhin yung gobyerno ng mga tao galing sa baba. So eto yung mga National Democrats, and examples of this is Joma Sison, who is the founder of Communist Party of the Philippines. And then marami silang members organizations. As makikita natin, 'di ba? Ito yung mga nanggigera, yung may mga armas, New People's Army, Moro Resistance and Liberation Organization, the MNLF, Cordillera People's Democratic Front, lahat 'yan ay kabilang sa NatDem, which believe in revolution as a way to bring about change. Sa SOCDEM, again, they do not believe in revolution. They believe in joining the government and then creating change using laws or policies. So, ayun, hindi sila lumalabas sa gobyerno. Okay, we also have the liberals. So, sa Pilipinas, examples of liberals would be Manuel Rojas. Actually, yung mga pinakamarami nating mga sikat na mga tao ay liberal. Si Jose Rizal, si Pepe Jocno, si Jovito Salonga, lahat yan sila liberal. So, yung liberals favor openness, debate, and self-determination. They believe that individual and individual freedom is of supreme importance. And for them, the central and defining principle is that each person has individual liberty and it is their natural right to practice their liberty and free choice. So kapag makikita natin yung values ng liberals, they believe that humans have the capability to decide for themselves, and at the same time, kailangan palagi na maging careful kasi hindi natin alam lahat. So, kailangan ng openness, ng debate. 'Di ba? Kailangan ng input from others. Kasi we don't, with regards to our visioning, we have to make sure na hindi isang klase lang yung ating pinupuna, 'di ba? Kaya they favor a variety of lifestyles, 'di ba? Pinapabayaan nila na okay okay lang na maging gay, atheist, like transgender, or okay lang maging Muslim, scientist, like divorcee, whatever your sort of life is, whatever the direction of your life, we trust you as long as you do not bring harm to other people. That's it. You can live your life in a way that you choose to be because you have the reasoning as well as the capability to determine the way or the shape that your life will take. Ayan yung kanilang paniniwala. So, talagang pinoprotektahan nila yung individual liberty, the capacity of the individual to decide. That's their most important or most sacred covenant, diba? Or yung kanilang pinaka-sacred na idea. Kapag sa socialist and sa communist yung grupo, sa liberals is the individual, diba? So the role of the state makes sure of social order, promoting opportunities for individuals to exercise their freedoms positively and restricting them from taking away the rights of others to exercise their freedoms negatively, diba? Positive means that they have the determination to determine their culture, their religion, their education. Negative means that hindi sila pwedeng mag-censor ng speech ng ibang tao. They cannot harm, diba, the right of other people to live and all of these things that restrict, diba, the individual. So yun lang yung main na paniniwala ng liberals. Okay, as long as these rights are guaranteed, pabayaan na. Okay, wala nang problema yung iba. Or kapag na-secure na yung mga rights na iyon, then it's not a problem anymore. That is the state's main duty. The rest, that is the duty of the person, kung ano mang gagawin nila. So, wala silang problema. Kaya, for example, si Chel Jokno, with regards to the statement, are you in favor of the legalization of medical marijuana? For some conservatives, they might say this, or they might say to this, no, right? Because again, this has some religious, may mga tao na may religious opposition to this. Pero for the liberals, they would allow this. Regarding, or, diba, kapag may nakikita nila that some people are using marijuana positively, there is some research that is backing marijuana use and so on, kasi nga, they believe in the individual freedom to determine what life or what their life should be. So, ayan, LPC Cheljok, no, sinabi niya, I support the medical community and their push for its use for medicinal purposes, and their position is based on scientific research. There are many Filipinos suffering from illnesses that can be eased by medical marijuana, and it is an injustice to deny them any cure or treatment that can help them. Our laws should keep up with breakthroughs in science and medicine. So, makikita natin yung characteristics of openness ng liberals, di ba? With the humility, saying that they don't know everything, right? Yun. So, for example, with regards to divorce, liberals might say, yes, again, because it is not my position to dictate what should other people live towards, diba? Or what other people's lives are. The only thing that I need to guarantee as a liberal politician is that the rights of people are protected, and then we also like extend or expand the capacity of the people to further exercise their rights, diba? So, hindi nila nire-restrict yung mga tao. Kasi nga, may trust sila sa capability ng mga tao to determine their own lives. Yan. So, again, ito yung sinabi ni Manuel Rojas, the true liberal believes that while the people may not always be right, they are usually right. And that in the end, if the people are given free rein to choose and to select righteousness, truth and justice will prevail. Diba? So again, they believe in the capacity of individuals. Okay, so you have Kiko Pangilinan right now, who is also the head of the Liberal Party, which is a minority party ngayon. You also have the conservatives. Okay, I'm just gonna finish this. The conservatives are the people or the politicians and the people which emphasize tradition, hierarchy, and authority. They defend tradition, values, practices, and institutions that have survived the test of history, seeing it as a source of wisdom and identity for both society and the individual. For conservatives, the main the main role of the state is to provide authority and discipline and to protect society from chaos as well as disorder. Yan, so makikita natin yung main goal ng conservatives is to preserve, 'di ba? Preserve certain things that they deem as important. And usually, yung dinideem nila na important is tradition as well as values. So, for a lot of conservatives in the Philippines, what matters is religion, right? Which is a traditional, or the tradition and the values given by religion. So, these are the people that would sometimes say na no to divorce or no to reproductive health, again, because this is not a practice that was done in the past. And an example of a conservative politician would be Tito Soto in the Senate. And syempre, Manny Pacquiao and all of these people who deem certain things as, or certain traditions as more valuable and has a place politically. And then you also have fascism. So yung fascists, they do not have any identifiable core principles or ideas except what it opposes. They get their identity through opposition by highlighting a specific other or other group and claim one identity for themselves. Para silang united ng isang unit. And then the rest, these are bad. These are useless or these are not good enough. Right? It sees people as part of the state and fully represented by the state, and they believe that the interests of the state are the interests of the people as a national community. So, eto yung mga tao, for example, na ina-identify nila yung isang country, isang estado sa iisang tao. So, an example would be, kapag may politician, tapos sinabi niya, lahat ng mga, yung Luzon ay para lang sa mga Tagalog. Or yung Cebu, or yung Visayas ay para lang sa mga Cebuano. This is the same thing as the fascists, di ba? Yung sinasabi nila na may isang grupo lang, and then that specific group has a specific right to a certain territory, right? And kailangan united yung estado, yun, usually fascist yun. And then pinapalabas nila or inuupos nila yung ibang grupo. So, yung ibang mga tao sinasabi na si Donald Trump may mirrors ng fascism, again, because he's anti-immigrant. He has a certain idea of the American as white, di ba? And then the rest are not American or not American enough. So the Mexicans are not American, the Asians, the blacks are not American. Kaya meron silang nagsasabi na fascist siya. It's the same with Hitler. So they have a certain idea of the Aryans, right, as the primary race para sa Germany. For Benito Mussolini, fascist, you only have a certain set of Italians, di ba? Yung mga Romans and so on. At makikita natin yon because of globalization, a lot of the politicians have certain fascist ideals. Kasi nga, takot sila sa immigrants and so on. Kaya, parang ngayon, merong revival yung fascism. Yan. So, these are the main ideologies. And for your review, pakitingnan lang yung chart. Okay, so these are just the summary, or this is just the summary of what we discussed today. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to get your thoughts about this, pero we'll have Wednesday to do that. Ayan, we'll end the class now. Goodbye, everyone. May questions ba tayo?
None, sir.
None po.
Okay, sige. Bye, guys. Prepare na lang the ano ha, the... bye-bye. Sige.
Goodbye and thank you, Chair. Ako, sir.